someone who's coming into direct sales, generally they have no marketing or business background. They may
hmm
be a mom, they may be a teacher, but running a business is completely different.
Welcome to the Other 99% podcast. I'm your host, Lisa Duck, a coffee loving direct sales enthusiast who's obsessed with a good digital system. Come join me for a realistic look into the world of direct sales. We'll explore inspiring perspectives, learn about unique business tips, and celebrate success stories that often go untold. Because on the other 99%, every seller matters. Hey everyone, it is me, Lisa, and welcome back to another episode of the Other 99%. I am here today with my friend Evelyn. She is one of my return guests, and I am so excited to chat with her today. But before we get into our topic, I just want to jump over to Evelyn and have you introduce yourself again and tell the listeners who you are and what you do and all that stuff.
Well, Lisa, I am so excited to be here again as a guest on your podcast. I just adore you. But for those of you, I am Evelyn Abernathy, but you will probably find me more as Purple Essence by Evelyn on all things social. I am your tea drinking, chocolate lover, purple loving friend.
Awesome. All right. So I know that there is this quote that goes around the direct sales industry a lot, and it is, you're in business for yourself, but never by yourself. And that quote is basically what caused us to have this conversation today. So I want Evelyn just jump in and give your thoughts about that quote. Tell us a little bit about, what that quote means to you, and we're just going to have a conversation.
Yeah, I love that quote, Lisa, because when you're doing business, okay, let's just kind of think about it. Someone who's coming into direct sales, generally they have no marketing or business background. They may
hmm
be a mom, they may be a teacher, they may be in some area in corporate America, but running a business is completely different. And it could be scary, it can feel lonely. So I love the fact that, yes, you have your own business. You are in business for yourself, but there's a whole community for you to surround yourself with, to get knowledge from. And to be honest, it's kind of that you don't know what you don't know
Exactly. I love
concept.
that. I love that. It's so true. I mean, you know, I always think of my team like as I had a team in Epicure. There were many people who came in the business for a business. There were people who come in for, just a part-time gig. But then there were people who came in just to get a discount. And most of those people, they don't really have, like you said, business experience. So even those coming in for a business were struggling because they needed the help, right? They needed the willingness to be open to having other people lend them a hand in terms of marketing their business. They needed to be able to be, like you say, coachable, right?
Absolutely. And also because our business looks so different from the brick and mortar business.
hmm
So it's the structure's different. It's like you come in direct sales and it's really like a business in a box. But
hmm
now what? But now what? You got all these moving pieces, but how do you put it together? And it could be so scary. So for some people, they just get that box and they just put it to the side, never to see it again, or months later to look at it. And they just kind of get lost. And so having that community and being coachable, being open to say, I need help um, in direction. Just give me some direction of what I want to do. I think that would make a big difference for the success of what they want to accomplish.
Well, I mean, as we sit, we're like on what, February the 4th as we're recording this. And for those of you who don't know, Epicure has basically gone bankrupt. So the business I was building for 15 years is gone. So here I am on February the 4th trying to build not one but three separate businesses. I'm trying to like navigate a different model and that's working in my brain. Whether it works on paper, we will see. But I can put myself in the position
Mhm.
of those new people as I'm starting these businesses because as I'm trying to make posts and stuff for companies that I might be familiar with, but I'm not super familiar with. I don't know where to go, what to do, and it's hard. It's like I almost have that stall. Do I wait for my kit to arrive?
Yes.
Right? And we always tell, I remember as being a leader, it's like, don't worry about waiting for your kid to arrive, just
Right.
dig in and do it. And it's like now I could feel the struggle that they were
Yes.
having, right? So
Yes. Yes.
this has opened my eyes like to a whole new world of direct sales and coaching team members to success because unless you have somebody to look up to, unless you have
Mhm.
somebody to follow,
Mhm.
you're out there and even though you're not in business to by yourself, you feel like you're by yourself.
Right. Right. That's a good point, Lisa, because you've been in business with Epicure for 15 years. I've been with Jafra. I've been using our Jafra products for decades, but
Hmm.
doing it as a business for about 10 years. And so we forget what it's like to be a newbie. We kind of get
Yes.
into that, into our mode of operation and kind of forget that scary feeling or that can I really do this? Is it even worth it? It's like all of the different questions they have. And then who knows if they're having people in their ears saying,
Hmm.
direct sales, oh, that's just, that's a lot of times, oh, like that's a pyramid scheme or it's just a
Yes.
scam and all these different things. Or you can never sell anything. You don't know who's talking to them and talking them out of the excitement.
And they might
So,
have that dialogue going in their own head too. So,
yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
yeah.
Sometimes I do too, 10 years later, and I have to tell myself, oh no, I can do this. And so that's the value of having someone alongside of you. So I would say for one thing, I've always been a coachable person. And
Hmm.
when you talk about being coachable, you can don't just put yourself into a box of just for business. You can be
Hmm.
coachable of anything in your life, coachable with relationships. That's why there's marriage counselors, right?
Yeah.
Life coaches. There's so many different areas that you can have coaches for, or even mentors. So on this journey that I've had with Jafra, I haven't always had a quote unquote coach, but I've been coachable by reading different people's
Hmm.
books. Like Darren Hardy, I've learned so much from him. If you haven't heard of his books, look him up. He's really good. I love his one book called The Compound Effect.
Hmm.
So Darren Hardy is someone I've listened to. There's so many different people, just even in the direct sales industry. He's not direct sales, but he still gives you business advice. But there's other people in the direct sales that I've listened to over the years. So there's so many ways of being coached. It could even be your upline. It could be the person who bought you into your company as you're building alongside each other. Like, how has he or she
Hmm.
run their business?
Yeah.
And what are they doing? How have they found success? But I will tell you, a lot of times people come in and they have this idea of what they want to do. But if you're in a company, most likely they have a recipe for success. They have things laid out, like this is what you do day one, week three. There's just a system.
Hmm.
And I say follow the system. You may not agree with it, you may not understand it, but I say follow the system. And here's how I relate that. When I am following a recipe for the first time to make something, I always follow the recipe as is. Always,
Exactly.
always. Now, after I made it and I tasted it, I might want to do a little tweaking. I might like, oh, next time I'll add this. I don't think I need that. Next time I will delete that. And so you can customize it to where you are, but start with that base. Start with that base of knowledge. So your company really already has a coaching program for
Yeah.
you. Just follow those steps.
Well, it's funny that you say that because I have been looking at a number of direct sales companies. It's quite funny. I put myself out there and I put it on my Facebook wall. It's like, okay, guys, I'm looking. Stop sending me spammy messages. This is what I
Yeah,
want from you. Send it to me and I'll take a look at your company. I'm not, I don't want any like fluff or anything. This is what I need to know.
right.
So, never, needless to say, my inbox was quite inundated with with stuff. It took me probably about 48 hours to get through stuff, and that
Oh,
was just replying to messages, not actually looking at every comp plan.
wow.
But the one thing that I will say that what I was looking for when I was like sort of interviewing people
Mhm,
to
mhm,
go into the direct sales field again, I wanted to know what systems they had in place, what systems their company had in place, what was sort of their recipe to success that they already had. Now, there were a couple companies that I found that had amazing systems. They have it all. Like, you jump in and it's like, okay, on day one, you're going to get this message, you're going to do this. They had a whole library of stuff that you can use as a newbie to
mhm,
get the
mhm.
information and just go out and share. Like
Right.
I was quite impressed, and especially coming from Epicure, like knowing how we struggled with this stuff and then
Mm,
seeing some of these other companies and it's like, wow, like
yeah,
where
yeah.
have you been all my life, right? You guys know that I'm a systems person and I love my systems and I love all my digital stuff too. So I love that you're saying that there is, and every company will have it, whether it's as elaborate as what I'm talking about, or
Right.
whether it's just like a one pager.
Mhm.
But it's there for you to help you succeed. So, and it's up to you.
Absolutely.
It's up to you as the new consultant or as the consultant to be willing to follow that recipe, right?
I
And like you
agree.
said, just if it's a 30-day plan, follow it for 30 days, then add your flair.
Right. Absolutely. I agree with that. Now, I would say now your next step would be after you've been successful with that, or maybe you feel like there's some gaps that you want to fill in. So you've done the company plan, you've done some reading, you've worked along with your upline or the person who bought you in, or both. I hope you would connect with your upline on some level because most likely she has a lot of experience more than you. You came in day one.
Yeah.
so, so even if she's only a week ahead of you, she's a week ahead of you. So I would just say definitely start there, but then continue to grow. I mean, knowledge is so powerful. Like I mentioned, books, there's podcasts, like here, other 99%. There's such great content out there, so don't limit yourself. And when you're ready, I say hire a coach. Now,
Yeah.
uh, both of us, Lisa and I, are with Becky Launder with Modern Direct Seller. I will tell you, I have worked with other coaches. I've never hired a coach, but we have coaches within our company, and they're absolutely fabulous. And I have followed along with our business coaches. But I wanted to shift how I wanted to do my business. Most of what they're teaching is all in person. And
Hmm.
for personal reasons, I needed to go more online and virtual business. So and then I've had another we our company bought in a coach to help us. That wasn't a good fit for me at
Hmm.
all.
Hmm.
The very first time I heard Becky, we bought her in, our company bought her in for a 3-month series. So once a month she worked with us. I was in love. I'm like, here is someone I resonate. I mean, she speaks my language. I
Yep.
resonated well with her. It's like, and her personality is just wonderful, upbeat. So that is who I wanted to work with. So I was in her academy Facebook page for a while. And then I upgraded to be a VIP with her. And
Mhm.
it's just been amazing. And it's opened up so many other doors of how I'm coaching with other people like Lisa. I mean,
Yep.
I've learned so much from you, Lisa. You are so invaluable for me and what I do in my business.
I'm
So,
glad.
yeah, you're my coach too. I'm coachable with you. And I just don't really think that's important to open yourself up. And it doesn't mean that you can't figure it out, but why not go with someone who's already has that experience? It's
Yeah.
going to save you time and money and headaches.
Yeah. Yeah. I just want to
Yeah.
jump in here for a second because I know
Yes.
that maybe a lot of our listeners aren't at the stage in their career or in their business where they can put that money out.
Mm-hmm.
And you know what? I didn't start jumping into coaching or buying into academies or anything like that until probably like late 2020 when my business started taking off because of COVID and doing online stuff. But I do want to say I I binged watched Becky. I
Mm-hmm.
binge watched other direct sales leaders on YouTube and I took in all of their free training. And that was the biggest thing in my career that turned things around is because I stopped listening to now given this like I do want to say that I was in my business longer than 30 days at the time.
Right,
Okay.
right,
So
right.
I knew the business like the back of my hand and I
Mm-hmm.
just knew that I wanted to do my business a little different from what
Correct.
my company was telling me to do it. So
Mm-hmm.
I dove into all things free training. And YouTube is the most valuable source. And I'm going to say it, and I said this before, direct sales is direct sales.
Absolutely.
Okay. So it
Mm-hmm.
doesn't matter if the person that you're listening to is a Sensi consultant and you sell Mary Kay. It
Mm-hmm.
doesn't matter if the person is selling books and you selling cookware. Direct sales is direct sales. You just take what they're talking about and you tweak it to fit in
Yes,
your business model. Right? So, yes,
absolutely.
I 100% agree that coaching is where you should lead to be or that should be your goal that you need to get like even the first tier of an academy or something like that. And they're usually very inexpensive. But if that's not in your sights right now or if it's not manageable right now, there are still other ways to get coached for free, right?
Absolutely, absolutely, Lisa. And I started out in Becky's academy first,
Hmm.
the lower level,
Yeah.
until I built myself up to it. So you don't have to jump in. Like I said, there's books, there's the people, in your company, there's your uplines, there's the podcast, and like you said, YouTube videos as well. But the main idea I want you to go away with is please just be coachable with
Hmm.
something. Don't feel like you've enrolled with your company and you're by yourself
Yeah.
and you've got to figure it out. No, you don't.
Yeah.
You're going to go to someone who's already figured it out and help you along the
Well,
way.
yeah, I was gonna say somebody's already figured it out. Why do you have to? And my biggest thing is, and why I love systems is because I think we waste a lot of time in our business recreating the wheel.
Absolutely.
Okay. So if there
Absolutely.
is something that somebody already has completed, pick it up and use it.
Hmm.
The time that it takes. So this is what I find, and I know this, and you'll probably experience this too, from leading a team in Epicure. There were always people who said, "Oh my, I did so much of my business this week. I was so busy." And then when you ask them what they did, they're like, "Oh, I was in Canva and I designed this, and I went to ChatGPT and I did this and I did this." And it's like, okay, well, did you know that I already had that created in boards? And oh, but I wanted to add my own flair to it. I'm like, you could have with just the words, right?
Right.
So all that busy work.
Right.
was not an IPA. It was not
Right.
an income producing
Right.
activity.
Right.
So you feel exhausted from your business and you have nothing to show for it. And that's where I feel that most people will tune out of their business.
Mhm.
And if they come into this business and they're not making money,
Right.
they don't see it as a success. But if they were just willing to be coached at the beginning, if they were willing to, let someone help them,
Hmm.
right?
Hmm.
Or
Hmm.
if they're just willing to ask for help. That's another thing we should talk about. It's like I let's not leave it up to the leader or your upline to come to you to see how can we be of service, right?
Right.
That
Right.
that's a big thing, I think.
Right. Yes. Because when I reach out to different people on my team, they'll say, "Oh, I didn't want to bother you."
Hmm.
I'm like, "But honey, this is never a bother. This is what I am here. My job is to help you become successful on
Hmm.
whatever level that means for you. It's never a bother. So if you are feeling that way, like, oh, I don't want to disturb my leader, don't just know that she's there for you. She's excited to hear from you
Hmm.
because she knows that you want to build your business and she wants to help you to be
Yeah.
successful with that.
Yeah. Yeah. I always told my team, it's like, I'm not gonna be the one who reaches out, but my link is here.
Mhm.
You're welcome to book a call with me at any time that's convenient for you. My schedule is right there. Like I made it easy for them because I
Yes.
want it to be part of their success.
Right.
And I never want it to feel like I was that kind of leader who was like, "Oh, you got to place your order by the end of this month or I hated that part of the business, right? But I also love the fact that those people who did link arms with me, they didn't need those reminder calls about you're gonna delete because they just knew they leaned into the systems in place. They leaned into what I had to offer and they knew what they had to look at. And their business was a lot simpler because of it. They weren't
Right.
stressing when targets didn't get hit. Because they knew what to do because, like I said, they leaned in,
Right.
right?
Yes, yes, yes. And yeah, and also because you've already set them up.
Hmm.
There's that system that they already had. And so that's a coachability concept there. You already laid out for them. They didn't even realize that they were being coached,
Hmm.
quote unquote, coached by you, but they were. And that's what made them feel successful, even when they didn't hit the numbers. I mean, I don't always hit my numbers,
Hmm.
and it's okay, and it's really okay. And if you
Yeah.
have a system and you've got a coach, and again, when I'm saying coach, it doesn't have to be a person that you are, a paid program.
Hmm.
It could be like, are you listening to the podcast? Are you listening to all the free things that's available to you? Then you're going to be able to understand the business and understand that a little bit better. And how, even in our business, even when we are successful, it's a roller coaster concept. They're going to have, right? It's like there's going to be
Yeah.
months that's really like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I've done so well. And then like, wow, we're
Yeah, the J months, right? The J months. Oh dear.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. So I mean, I love this conversation, Evelyn, because people just need to realize that there are other people out there willing to help them
Mhm.
grow, right? Um,
Yes.
and the one thing that I do want to stress is that if you do have a leader reaching out to you, they're like don't because I know that there's a lot of people who like they scurry and hide. They go, I don't want to talk to this person. I don't want to talk to this
Right.
person. Just make sure
Right.
you're clear. I always told my team, just make sure you're clear on what your intentions are with this business. If you come in to work this business as a full-time position or whatever,
Mhm.
tell me that up front because that is how I'll lead you.
Correct.
If you're here just for the discount, that's great. But I have
Yes.
tips and tricks to make that successful for you. So
Hmm.
this is how I will lead you, right? So just be open and honest. Don't hide.
Right.
Don't hide because we know everybody starts this business for a number of different reasons.
Absolutely.
And we are able to meet you where you're at,
Hmm. Hmm.
right?
I have had team members apologize that they didn't hit a goal or that they're, oh, I'm so sorry, I'm not going to order this one. And I tell them, please, no, you don't need to apologize to me. This is your business. I'm just here to help you be successful in what you want in your business. It's not about me. It's these are your goals. Let me help you. And if your goals that I'm not going to do anything for 3 months, that's your goal. That's fine. That is
Exactly.
100% fine. It's your business, your way. As a matter of fact, our motto with Jaffa is freedom to be you. So
Yeah.
you decide that freedom. And it's our model, but it's every direct sell company's model, to be honest. We just have it written in on our sites, but it's really true. This is all about you. So
Hmm.
you decide how you want to build your business, how you want to be coached, whether it's free or paid. And we're just all here to help you be successful with it.
Yeah, I love this. All right. And I know that because you were just sharing with me just before the call
Mhm.
that you're going to be doing a blog all about coaching. So it's probably going to come out around the same time as this episode airs. So we're going to put the link to your website, which is, you want to share that now?
It's purpleessencebyEvelyn.com.
Awesome. So I'll put a link in the description of this podcast, and you can go there and learn a little bit more about Evelyn's theory behind coaching and a little bit more deep dive into what we were just talking about on this episode. But Evelyn, I want to just thank you so much for joining me on this episode, and I hope you will come and join me again, and we'll have a different topic. But you're always welcome back. I love having like just candid conversations. So yeah. So thank you so much for joining us on this episode of The Other 99%. And we will see everyone again next week. Take care.
Thank you, Lisa.
Bye bye.
Bye.
Hey, thanks so much for taking the time to listen to the podcast. I hope you enjoyed this episode. If you would take a minute to rate and review the podcast, I would absolutely love it. And if you know someone who really needs to hear this podcast, please feel free to share it with them. More listeners, the better. And if you know someone who would like to be a guest on the podcast, or you yourself would like to be a guest, be sure to check the link in the show notes or visit lisaduck.com and click Be a Guest. We'll talk to you soon.